Ambassador Claire Martinez stood at the observation deck of the UES Harmony, watching the massive alien space station grow larger in the viewport. The Galactic Council station was unlike anything she had ever seen. It looked like a giant crystal flower floating in space with dozens of different sections built by various alien races. Each part showed a different style of building, from smooth curves to sharp angles, creating a strange but beautiful sight. "First time seeing it never gets old," said Dr. Nathan Brooks, joining her at the window. The cultural expert carried a tablet full of notes about alien customs and traditions. He had spent months studying every known alien race that would attend the meeting. "Are you nervous?" Claire asked him. She had been Earth's top diplomat for 15 years, but this mission was different. This was humanity's first chance to join the galaxy's most important organization. "A little," Nathan admitted. "But we've prepared for everything. The gifts are ready, the translation systems are working perfectly, and we know their customs." Behind them, Colonel Jake Williams checked his sidearm for the 10th time. The military advisor was not happy about carrying only a small pistol, but the council had strict rules about weapons. No military ships were allowed near the station during diplomatic meetings. "I still think we should have brought more protection," Jake said quietly. "We're here to make friends, not enemies," Claire reminded him. "Show them we trust them, and hopefully they'll trust us back." Lisa Chang looked up from her communication console. The young specialist had been working non-stop to make sure all their equipment worked with alien systems. "Ambassador, we're getting our docking instructions now. Bay 47, Section C." Claire nodded and activated the ship's intercom. "Attention crew, we're about to dock at the Galactic Council station. Remember, we represent all of humanity today. Let's show them who we really are." The Harmony was not an impressive ship compared to the alien vessels around the station. It was built for comfort and safety, not for war. The hull was white with blue stripes, and the Earth flag was painted on both sides. Inside, the ship felt more like a luxury hotel than a military vessel. As they docked, Claire could see alien ships of all sizes and shapes through the station's windows. Some looked like metal insects, others like living creatures made of crystal. A few seemed to be built from materials that changed color as she watched. The docking tube connected with a soft thud. Claire took a deep breath and picked up the special case containing Earth's gifts for the Council. Inside were examples of human art, music, literature, and small samples of Earth's unique foods and plants. "Ready, team?" she asked. The 4 humans walked through the tube and into the station. The air smelled different here, with hints of ozone and something sweet. The gravity felt slightly heavier than Earth normal, and the lighting was brighter than humans preferred. Their first sight of the station's interior was amazing. The walls were covered in patterns that moved and changed, showing scenes from different alien worlds. Creatures of all types walked, crawled, and floated through the corridors. Some were tall and thin, others short and round. A few didn't seem to have solid bodies at all. A being that looked like a walking tree with silver bark approached them. "Greetings, humans. I am Guide Veltar. I will escort you to the council chamber." Claire smiled and bowed slightly, the way Nathan had taught her. "Thank you, Guide Veltar. We are honored to be here." The walk to the council chamber took 20 minutes. Along the way, they passed markets selling items from across the galaxy, gardens with plants that grew in impossible shapes, and windows showing the black space outside. Other aliens stopped to stare at the humans, pointing and making sounds that might have been laughter. "They seem curious about us," Lisa whispered. "Let's hope that's a good thing," Jake replied, his hand staying close to his weapon. The council chamber was enormous. It was shaped like a bowl, with seats arranged in circles going up toward the ceiling. Each section was designed for different types of alien bodies. Some seats were filled with water, others hung from the ceiling, and a few seemed to be made of pure energy. At the center of the bowl was a small platform where speakers could address the council. As the humans entered, hundreds of alien eyes, sensors, and other organs turned to look at them. Guide Veltar led them to a section marked for visitors. The seats were basic but comfortable, clearly designed for species like humans. The session will begin shortly, Veltar said before leaving them alone. Claire looked around at the aliens filling the chamber. She recognized some species from their studies. The Zephyrians looked like large reptiles with forearms and glowing red eyes. Their leader, War Prime Vextar, sat in the most decorated seat in their section. The crystalline collective appeared to be made of living glass, with Thought Shaper Quindal at their center, constantly changing colors. There were dozens of other species, some friendly-looking, others clearly dangerous. All of them seemed to be watching the humans with interest. A deep sound filled the chamber, like a bell made of metal and music. All conversation stopped. The council recognizes the delegation from the planet called Earth, announced a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Approach and present your request. Claire stood up, straightened her formal diplomatic uniform, and walked down to the center platform. The chamber was so quiet she could hear her own heartbeat. Honored members of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's sound system. I am Ambassador Claire Martinez, representing the United Earth Government and all humanity. We come before you today not as conquerors or as beggars, but as neighbors seeking to join the galactic community. She opened the case and began displaying Earth's gifts. We offer these small tokens of our culture, our art, our music, and our hopes for the future. Humanity has much to learn from the wisdom of the galaxy, and we believe we have something to contribute as well. From the Zephyrian section came a sound like grinding metal. War Prime Vextar was laughing. Gifts? He said, his voice booming through the chamber. Pretty pictures and sweet-smelling plants? This is what the soft-skinned humans offer the galaxy? Other aliens began making sounds that might have been laughter. Quindal's crystalline form turned a shade of blue that Nathan had told Claire meant amusement or contempt. We offer friendship, Claire said calmly, though she felt her heart racing. We offer cooperation, trade, and mutual growth. Friendship, Vextar repeated mockingly. The galaxy is not a place for the weak human. It is ruled by strength. What strength do you bring? Claire maintained her composure. We bring the strength of unity, of innovation, of the human spirit that has carried us from caves to the stars in just a few thousand years. The laughter grew louder. Several alien species were openly mocking the human delegation now. You mistake words for power, Quindal said, her voice like breaking glass. Your species is young and naive. You have no place among the established powers of the galaxy. Claire looked around the chamber, seeing dismissal and contempt in hundreds of alien faces. This was not how she had hoped the meeting would go, but she had been prepared for this possibility. We came here hoping to find friends, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. But if friendship is not possible, we are prepared for the alternative. The chamber fell silent for a moment. Then the laughter began again, louder than before. War Prime Vextar stood up, his forearms spread wide. Threats from creatures who came in a single small ship? Your application for council membership is denied, humans. Return to your small world and play your games there. Claire nodded once, picked up her case, and walked back to her team with dignity intact. As they left the chamber, the alien laughter followed them. But Claire Martinez was not defeated. She had delivered humanity's message, and now it was time for the next phase of Earth's plan. 3 weeks after the failed diplomatic mission, Captain Tony Rodriguez watched his cargo ship's sensors with growing concern. The UES Merchant Hope was carrying medical supplies to the human colony on New Boston, but they were not alone in space. 3 Zephyrian attack ships had been following them for the past hour. Captain, they're getting closer, said his navigator, a young woman named Kelly Barnes. Should we send a distress signal? Tony shook his head. We're in neutral space. They can't attack us here without breaking galactic law. But even as he said it, Tony knew the law meant nothing if no one was willing to enforce it. The Galactic Council had made it clear that humans were not welcome, and that meant human lives were not protected. The lead Zephyrian ship opened communications. The reptilian face of their commander filled the screen, red eyes glowing with hunger. Human vessel, you carry valuable cargo through Zephyrian space, the alien said. This is neutral space, Tony replied. We have every right to be here. The Zephyrian commander laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. Neutral space belongs to those strong enough to claim it. You are not strong, human. The attack came without warning. Energy beams struck the Merchant Hope's hull, tearing through the cargo bay and killing 12 crew members instantly. Tony ordered his ship to run, but the human vessel was no match for military ships. Within minutes, the Merchant Hope was destroyed. Only Tony and 3 others survived, rescued by a passing Centaurian trade ship whose captain was brave enough to help. The news of the attack reached Earth within hours. President Helen Carter called an emergency meeting of the Defense Council in the underground Situation Room beneath the White House. This is the 5th attack this month, said Admiral Ryan Foster, his weathered face grim with anger. They're testing us, seeing how far they can push before we push back. The Crystalline Collective is doing the same thing, added Intelligence Director Karen Walsh. Their ships are conducting scientific surveys within 1 light-year of our colonies. They're mapping our defenses. President Carter sat at the head of the long table surrounded by her top military and civilian advisors. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes held the strength that had made her Earth's leader during humanity's expansion to the stars. What about our diplomatic team? She asked. Are they making any progress? Ambassador Martinez is still on the council station, replied Secretary of State Patricia Moore. She's trying to find moderate voices, but most species are afraid to support us. The older empires control too much. Carter nodded. She had expected this, but she had hoped diplomacy might work. Her predecessor had believed that humanity could talk its way into galactic acceptance. Carter knew better. Admiral Foster, what's the status of Project Revelation? Foster leaned forward, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. All ships are complete and ready. The Retribution finished her final tests last week. Dr. Rivera says the new weapons are performing beyond expectations. And the crews? Trained and eager, Madam President. They've been watching the news too. They want to make these aliens pay for what they've done. Carter was quiet for a long moment. Through the room's secure windows, she could see the lights of Washington, D.C. Above those lights, invisible to the naked eye, were the orbital defense platforms that protected Earth. But Earth's real protection was much farther away, hidden in the darkness between stars. Not yet, she finally said. We stick to the plan. Let them think they're winning. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council Station, Claire Martinez sat in her temporary quarters reading reports from home. Each news update brought worse news. More attacks, more deaths, more humiliation. The aliens weren't just testing human military strength. They were proving to the galaxy that humans were helpless. Nathan Brooks knocked on her door. Claire, you need to see this. She followed him to the station's public information center, where aliens from across the galaxy could access news and entertainment. On the main screen was a Zephyrian news program, showing footage of human ships being destroyed. The anchor, a female Zephyrian with golden scales, was speaking in the common galactic language. War Prime Vextar announced today that human space is now open for resource recovery operations by any Zephyrian crew brave enough to hunt the cowardly mammals. The screen showed War Prime Vextar addressing a cheering crowd on the Zephyrian homeworld. Let this be a lesson to all species who think they can enter the galaxy without proving their worth. Humans are weak. They hide behind words and treaties. When faced with true strength, they run like frightened children. Claire felt sick watching the footage, but Nathan pointed to something else. Look at the audience reactions. She noticed that while the older, more powerful aliens were cheering or showing approval, some of the younger species looked uncomfortable. A group of Altarian students was whispering among themselves, their expressions worried. Near them, several members of the Botanical Collective seemed upset by the celebration of violence. Some of them don't like what they're seeing, Nathan observed. Maybe we can work with that. Before Claire could respond, Colonel Williams appeared beside them, his face dark with anger. Ma'am, we just received word from Earth. The New Boston research station has been attacked. 200 civilians dead, including 40 children. The research station had been humanity's proudest achievement in space, a peaceful facility where human and alien scientists worked together to study stellar phenomena. It had no military value, no strategic importance. It was pure science representing everything humanity hoped to bring to the galaxy. The attack footage was already being broadcast across alien networks. Zephyrian fighters had swept in without warning, destroying the station's laboratories, living quarters, and escape pods. They had even targeted the rescue ships that tried to help survivors. War Prime Vextar appeared on screen again, this time speaking directly to the camera. Let this be clear to all who watch. Humans are barely evolved primates playing at civilization. They have no weapons, no courage, no honor. They are not worthy to share space with true species. Around the information center, aliens were laughing and nodding in agreement. A few looked uncomfortable, but none spoke up in humanity's defense. Claire closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them again, her expression had changed. The diplomatic mask was gone, replaced by something harder. Nathan, send a message to President Carter. Tell her the diplomatic phase is over. What should I say? Claire looked at the screen showing the burning remains of the research station. Tell her it's time for the galaxy to meet the real humanity. On Earth, President Carter received the message during another emergency meeting. The public was demanding action. Protests filled the streets of every major city. The families of the dead were calling for justice. Earth's colonies were begging for protection. Admiral Foster was making the same argument he had made for weeks. Madam President, we have to respond. Our people are dying while we sit here and debate. The other species need to see that we're not helpless, added General Patricia Stone, head of the Colonial Defense Force. Every day we wait, more aliens think humans are easy targets. Carter looked around the table at her advisors. These were the people who had helped humanity reach the stars, who had built Earth's hidden defenses, who had prepared for this exact situation. Dr. Rivera, are you confident in our technology? The chief engineer of Project Revelation nodded firmly. Our ships are 30 years ahead of anything the aliens have seen. The weapons, the armor, the stealth systems, we've tested everything multiple times. And our intelligence on alien forces? Complete, said Director Walsh. While they've been laughing at our diplomats, our spy satellites have been mapping every military installation in 3 sectors. We know their strengths, their weaknesses, their patrol schedules. Carter stood up and walked to the large map showing human space and the surrounding alien territories. Red markers showed recent attack sites. Blue markers showed human colonies, now living in fear. Gentlemen, ladies, we've spent 50 years building humanity's real strength in secret. We've let them think we're weak while we've been preparing for war. The question is, are we ready to show them who we really are? Foster smiled for the first time in weeks. Madam President, the Retribution and her battle group have been ready for months. Captain Santos is eager to remind the galaxy that humans didn't conquer their own planet by being peaceful. Carter nodded slowly. Very well. Send the activation order to all Project Revelation assets. It's time for humanity to step out of the shadows. Within hours, secret bases throughout human space came alive with activity. Ships that had been hidden for decades powered up their engines. Crews that had trained in simulation for years prepared for real combat. Weapons that existed only in classified files were loaded and armed. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength had never been diplomacy. It had been patience. Deep in the asteroid field beyond Pluto, something massive began to move. The object had been hidden there for 15 years, disguised as just another piece of space rock. But as its engines came online for the first time, the illusion fell away. The U.S. Retribution was unlike any ship humanity had ever built before. She was 3 miles long and half a mile wide, her hull covered in armor plating that could withstand direct hits from alien plasma cannons. Along her sides, weapon ports opened to reveal guns that could crack planets. Her engines, based on technology, reverse-engineered from captured alien ships, could push her faster than anything in known space. Captain Maria Santos stood on the bridge watching her crew prepare for launch. She was a small woman with dark hair and calm eyes, But everyone who served under her knew she was one of Earth's finest military minds. She had spent 10 years training for this moment. "Engineering, report," she called out. "All systems green, Captain," replied Commander Alex Rivera, the chief engineer who had designed most of the ship's advanced systems. "Fusion reactors at full power, quantum drives ready for activation, stealth field generators online. Weapons? All. Gun batteries loaded and ready," said Lieutenant Commander Paul Anderson from the tactical station. "Main cannon charged to full capacity. Point defense systems active. We could take on a small fleet right now." Maria nodded. Around her, the bridge hummed with quiet activity. Every console was operated by Earth's best and brightest. These were people who had volunteered to spend years in secret training, cut off from their families preparing for a war that might never come. Now it had come. "Communications. Patch me through to Admiral Foster on Earth." The Admiral's weathered face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Maria could see the Earth Command situation room where humanity's leaders were watching the deployment. "Captain Santos, you are cleared for Operation Shadow Strike. Your primary mission is to demonstrate overwhelming force at the Galactic Council Station. Rules of engagement are weapons-free, but avoid civilian casualties." "Understood, Admiral. What about alien military forces?" Foster's smile was cold. "If they want to fight, show them why that's a bad idea. The galaxy needs to understand that attacking humanity was a mistake." "Copy that, sir. Retribution out." Maria turned to her navigation. "Officer." "Lisa, set course for the Kepler system. Maximum stealth, but I want us there in 6 hours." Around the solar system, other ships were also moving. The UES Defiance emerged from behind Europa, her sleek hull bristling with missile pods. The UES Resolution powered up from her hiding place in Saturn's rings. The UES Justice activated her, engines in the shadow of the moon. These were humanity's secret guardians built with technology that officially didn't exist. While alien species had focused on making bigger versions of the same old weapons, humans had spent decades developing completely new approaches to space warfare. The stealth technology came from studying how certain deep space creatures avoided detection. The armor was based on material science that alien species had overlooked. The weapons used principles of physics that most aliens thought were just theories. But the real secret was the ship's artificial intelligence systems. Each vessel was guided by an AI that could think and react faster than any biological brain. The AIs were not just computers. They were digital minds that could learn, adapt, and coordinate with each other across vast distances. As the 4 ships moved toward their target, they were invisible to every sensor system the aliens possessed. Their hulls absorbed scanning beams instead of reflecting them. Their engines produced no heat signature. Even their gravitational effects were masked by advanced field generators. On the bridge of the Retribution, Lieutenant Anderson was studying. "Intelligence reports about alien military forces in the Kepler system. Captain, we've got 43 alien warships around the Council Station, 15 Zephyrian heavy cruisers, 20 crystalline collective destroyers, and 8 ships from minor species." "Any of them a real threat?" Anderson shook his head. "Based on our analysis, their weapons are maybe 20% as powerful as ours, and their armor can't stop our main guns. The biggest danger would be if they all attacked at once." "They won't," Maria said confidently. "Alien military doctrine is based on individual glory, not coordinated tactics. Each captain will want to be the hero who destroys the human ship." She was right. While human military thinking emphasized teamwork and coordination, most alien species were built around individual achievement. Their warriors were brave, but they didn't work well together. Dr. Rivera joined them on the bridge, carrying a tablet full of technical data. "Captain, I've been running final checks on all our systems. The quantum entanglement communicators are working perfectly. We can coordinate with Earth in real time despite the distance." "And the main weapon? The gravitational pulse cannon is ready for its first real test. Based on simulations, it should be able to disable any alien ship without destroying it. But if we need to destroy something," he smiled, "the antimatter torpedoes will turn any target into expanding gas. Maria looked out at the stars streaming past as the Retribution moved through hyperspace. Somewhere ahead was the Galactic Council, station where Ambassador Martinez was still trying to find a diplomatic solution. Maria respected Claire's efforts, but she knew diplomacy only worked when both sides wanted peace. The aliens had made it clear they preferred violence. Now humanity would give them more violence than they ever imagined possible. "Captain," called out the communications officer, "we're receiving a tight beam message from Ambassador Martinez." Claire's face appeared on a small screen. She looked tired but determined. "Captain Santos, I'm sending you detailed intelligence about the alien forces here. War Prime Vextar has been bragging about how he's going to hunt human ships for sport. The Crystalline Collective is planning to claim several human colonies as research subjects. How are the moderate species reacting? Some of them are uncomfortable with what's happening, but they're too afraid to speak up. They need to see that supporting humanity won't get them destroyed." Maria nodded. "What about the Council leadership?" "They're meeting tomorrow to formally declare humans a non-sentient species with no rights under galactic law. Once that passes, any alien government can attack human worlds without consequences." "Not going to happen," Maria said firmly. "We'll be there in 4 hours. Keep playing the diplomat until then." "Understood. And Captain, give them something to remember." The connection closed, leaving Maria alone with her thoughts. In 4 hours, everything would change. Humanity would either earn respect through strength or face extinction as an enemy of the galaxy. She activated the ship-wide intercom. "All hands, this is the captain. In a few hours, we will arrive at the Galactic Council station where our diplomats have been insulted, our people have been murdered, and our species has been declared unworthy of basic rights." Throughout the ship, crew members stopped what they were doing to listen. "For 15 years, we have prepared for this moment. We have trained in secret while the galaxy laughed at human weakness. We have built weapons while they thought we were harmless. We have studied their tactics while they ignored our potential." Maria paused, looking out at the stars. "Today we remind the galaxy that humans didn't reach the stars by being weak. We didn't survive ice ages, plagues, and world wars by giving up when things got difficult. And we won't let alien bullies decide our future." She took a deep breath. "When we decloak above that station, every alien in the galaxy will know that humanity is not helpless. They will learn that attacking us was the biggest mistake they ever made. And they will understand that from now on, humans will be treated with the respect we've earned." Across the ship, crew members returned to their duties with new determination. In engineering, Dr. Rivera made final adjustments to weapons that could shatter moons. In the missile bays, technicians loaded torpedoes that could turn space battles into light shows visible from neighboring star systems. On the bridge, Maria watched the navigation display count down the distance to their target. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would meet the real humanity, and after that meeting, nothing would ever be the same. Ambassador Claire Martinez was sitting in the council chamber's visitor section when space around the station suddenly changed. One moment the stars looked normal through the transparent walls. The next moment, an enormous shadow fell across the entire diplomatic complex. Every alien in the chamber froze. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Even War Prime Vextar's constant boasting about Zephyrian superiority came to an abrupt halt. Above them, blocking out half the visible stars, was the largest warship any of them had ever seen. The UES Retribution hung in space like a dark metal moon, her hull reflecting the station's lights. Weapon ports along her sides glowed with barely contained energy. The human flag painted on her bow was clearly visible even from this distance. Claire felt a smile spread across her face. Finally, the station's alert systems began wailing. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the chamber. Alien security forces ran through the corridors shouting orders in a dozen different languages. War Prime Vextar jumped to his feet, his forearms spread wide in rage. "Impossible. Humans don't have ships like that." Before anyone could respond, Captain Maria Santos's voice filled the chamber, broadcast on every communication frequency. "This is Captain Maria Santos of the Terran Defense Force Battleship Retribution. We've come to continue our diplomatic discussions with the Galactic Council. I trust this is a convenient time. Throughout the chamber, aliens were pointing at the massive ship and making sounds of fear or amazement. Some species were frantically trying to contact their home governments. Others were already moving toward the exits. Thought Shaper Quindal, the Crystalline Collective's leader, turned a deep red color that Nathan had told Claire meant extreme anger. This is an act of war. No military vessels are permitted near the Council Station. Maria's voice came again, calm and professional. According to my records, Zephyrian military ships have been attacking human vessels for the past month. Crystalline Collective ships have been conducting unauthorized surveys of human space. If you want to discuss acts of war, we have plenty to talk about. On the station's external sensors, more shapes were appearing. The UES Defiance materialized next to a group of Zephyrian cruisers, her sleek form dwarfing the alien vessels. The UES Resolution emerged from stealth directly above the Crystalline Collective fleet. The UES Justice took position near the station's main docking bay. Admiral Foster's voice joined the conversation from Earth, broadcast with crystal clarity across the galaxy. Attention all alien forces. You are in the presence of the Terran Defense Force. Any aggressive action will be met with immediate and overwhelming response. War Prime Vextar was practically foaming at the mouth. Attack them. Destroy the human. Ships, show them what real warriors can do. The Zephyrian fleet moved first. 15 heavy cruisers turned toward the Retribution, their plasma cannons charging for maximum power. Energy readings spiked as they prepared to fire. All alien vessels, this is Captain Santos. Stand down immediately. You are outgunned and outmatched. Lies, Vextar screamed. One human ship against our entire fleet, fire, destroy them. The Zephyrian ships opened fire as one, sending dozens of plasma beams and energy torpedoes toward the Retribution. The attack was impressive, lighting up space with destructive energy. The weapons struck the human ship's shields and simply disappeared. The Retribution didn't even shake. In the council chamber, aliens stared in shock as the massive human vessel sat unmoved in space, completely undamaged by an attack that should have vaporized any normal ship. Our turn, Maria said quietly. The Retribution's point defense systems activated. Hundreds of small turrets emerged from the ship's hull and began firing. Each shot was precisely aimed and perfectly timed. Within seconds, every incoming missile and torpedo had been destroyed. The plasma beams were deflected by energy fields that made them bend around the human ship like water around a rock. War Prime Vextar was speechless for the first time anyone could remember. Impressive defensive systems, Maria's voice continued. But you wanted to see offensive capabilities. Allow me to demonstrate. The Retribution's main gun began to glow. Energy readings throughout the system spiked as the massive weapon charged to full power. The gravitational pulse cannon was humanity's most advanced weapon, capable of tearing apart the fabric of space itself. Target: the unmanned Zephyrian training ship in Sector 7, Maria announced. All alien crews, please observe. The training ship was an old cruiser that the Zephyrians used for practice exercises. It was empty of crew but fully armored and shielded. The Retribution fired. There was no visible beam, no flash of light, no explosion. One moment the training ship was there. The next moment it was gone, reduced to its component atoms and scattered across several light years of space. The silence in the council chamber was complete. That was our lowest power setting, Maria said conversationally. Would anyone like to see what happens at full power? No one responded. Colonel Jake Williams' voice came from the station's communication system. Ambassador Martinez, I believe the council members are ready to resume negotiations now. Claire stood up, smoothed her diplomatic uniform, and walked down to the center platform. Every alien eye in the chamber followed her movement. Honored members of the Galactic Council, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the stunned silence. As I was saying before we were interrupted, humanity seeks peaceful membership in the galactic community. However, recent events have shown us that some species prefer to communicate through displays of force rather than words. She gestured toward the viewport where the Retribution's massive form dominated the view. We have now demonstrated that humanity is capable of defending itself and its interests. The question before this council is simple. Do you want us as friends or enemies? Dr. Nathan Brooks activated his tablet and began broadcasting information throughout the chamber. Images, videos, and data about human achievements filled the alien information systems. While some of you have been attacking our ships and threatening our people, humanity has been busy, he said. We've developed medical techniques that can cure diseases your species consider fatal. We've created energy sources that are cleaner and more efficient than anything currently in use. We've solved mathematical problems that have puzzled galactic civilization for centuries. The data showed human art, music, literature, and scientific discoveries. It revealed technologies that could benefit every species in the galaxy. But it also showed weapons research, military exercises, and the construction of the secret fleet. We've been preparing for two possibilities, Nathan continued. Partnership or conflict. We hoped for the first, but we were ready for the second. Thought-shaper Quindal tried to rally opposition. This is aggression. Humans are threatening the established order. They must be stopped before they spread their violence throughout the galaxy. But her words fell flat. Other alien species were looking at the human fleet with new respect, not fear. The younger species especially were excited by the possibilities Nathan had shown them. A representative from the Botanical Collective, a plant-based species that had never spoken in the council before, requested permission to address the chamber. Humans have shared medical knowledge that could save millions of my people from disease, the being said in a voice like wind through leaves. They offer partnership, not conquest. Perhaps we should listen. Similar voices began speaking up throughout the chamber. Species that had been silent for years were suddenly finding courage to express opinions. The demonstration of human strength had done more than just show military capability. It had shifted the balance of power in the council itself. War Prime Vextar made one last attempt to maintain control. You fools! Don't you see what's happening? Humans are using fear to manipulate you. They're no different from any other conquerors. Admiral Foster's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. War Prime, your forces have killed over 300 human civilians in unprovoked attacks. You've declared humans to be non-sentient animals with no rights. You've threatened to hunt our ships for sport. If anyone here is a conqueror, it's you. The Admiral paused, letting his words sink in. But even now, we're not attacking your homeworld. We're not destroying your fleets. We're sitting here talking, trying to find a peaceful solution. That's the difference between humans and species like yours. More alien voices began supporting the human position. The tide of opinion in the chamber was shifting rapidly. Species that had been afraid to oppose the older empires were realizing they had a choice. Claire seized the moment. The Galactic Council has a decision to make. You can continue following leaders who believe in rule through fear and violence, or you can choose to work with species that believe in cooperation, growth, and mutual benefit. She looked directly at War Prime Vextar and Thought-Shaper Quindal. We're not asking you to surrender. We're not demanding tribute or territory. We're offering partnership with equals. The choice is yours. The chamber erupted in discussion, as aliens debated among themselves. Some species were clearly terrified of human military power. Others were excited by human technological achievements. Most were simply trying to figure out what this meant for their own people. 2 days after the Retribution's arrival, President Helen Carter's personal ship, the UES Sovereignty, docked at the Galactic Council station. The President of Earth stepped onto the station surrounded by her security detail, but the real protection came from the massive human fleet now permanently stationed in orbit above. The aliens who had been mocking humanity just days before now watched with careful respect as Carter walked through the station's corridors. Her small frame and gray hair made her look like someone's grandmother, but every alien in the galaxy now knew she commanded weapons that could crack planets. War Prime Vextar was waiting in the council chamber when Carter arrived, but his attitude had completely changed. The arrogant reptilian warrior who had laughed at human diplomacy now sat quietly in his seat, his forearms folded defensively across his chest. President Carter, he said when she took her place at the speaker's platform, the Zephyrian Empire wishes to discuss terms for peace. Peace? Carter repeated, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. You attacked our ships, killed our civilians, and declared us non-sentient. Now you want peace? Vextar's red eyes looked down at the floor. There were misunderstandings. Rogue elements in our fleet acted without proper authorization. Carter smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I see. So when your ships destroyed our research station and killed 200 people, including children, that was just a misunderstanding? The chamber was silent. Even the species that traditionally supported the Zephyrians were staying quiet, unwilling to defend actions that had provoked the human response. The Zephyrian Empire pays compensation for any damages, Vextar said quietly. We will honor all human territorial claims. We seek only to avoid further conflict. What about hunting human ships for sport? Carter asked. That was your exact phrase, wasn't it? Vextar flinched as if struck. There will be no more attacks on human vessels. You have my word as War Prime. Thought Shaper Quindal rose from the Crystalline Collectives section. Her normally bright colors were muted, showing what Nathan Brooks had told Carter meant submission or fear. The collective also seeks peaceful relations with humanity, she said, her voice like tinkling glass. We were perhaps too hasty in our earlier judgments. You were planning to claim human colonies as research subjects, Carter replied. Your own transmissions made that clear. A mistake, Quindal said quickly. We are prepared to share our own research with human scientists instead. Perhaps we can learn from each other. Carter looked around the chamber at the hundreds of alien representatives. Many were watching her with expressions of fear or uncertainty. Others, particularly the younger species, looked hopeful. Before we discuss terms, Carter said, I want everyone here to understand something important. The ships you saw yesterday represent about 10% of humanity's actual military capability. Gasps and shocked sounds came from throughout the chamber. The Retribution and her escort ships had seemed impossibly powerful. The idea that they were just a small sample of human strength was terrifying. We didn't build this fleet to conquer the galaxy, Carter continued. We built it because we knew this day would come. We knew that some species would see our peaceful nature as weakness. We knew that diplomacy without strength is just begging. She activated a holographic display that showed the human fleet's actual size. Hundreds of warships, battle stations, and support vessels filled the projection. The aliens in the chamber stared in stunned silence. This is what humanity has been doing for the past 50 years while you thought we were helpless. We've been preparing, learning, and building. We've been getting ready for the day when the galaxy would force us to prove ourselves. Admiral Foster's image appeared on the chamber's screens, speaking from Earth Command. The human fleet currently has assets in 47 star systems. Our stealth ships have been watching and learning from every major alien power for decades. We know your strengths, your weaknesses, and your secrets. The revelation sent shockwaves through the alien delegations. Species that had thought their military preparations were secret were learning that humans had been observing them for years. But here's what makes humans different, Carter said, her voice softening slightly. We don't want to use this power to rule over you. We want to use it to protect the peace while we all work together to build something better. She gestured to Dr. Nathan Brooks, who activated new displays showing human technological achievements. We've developed medical treatments that can extend lifespans for most known species. We've created energy systems that could eliminate resource scarcity throughout the galaxy. We've solved transportation problems that could connect distant worlds in ways never before possible. The displays showed hospitals where human doctors worked alongside alien patients, laboratories where mixed species teams were solving complex problems, and space stations where different civilizations were learning from each other. This is what we want to build, Carter said. Not an empire based on fear, but a community based on mutual benefit and respect. A young representative from the Altarian species raised her hand for permission to speak. The Altarians were bird-like creatures known for their curiosity and love of learning. President Carter, if humanity joins the Galactic Council, would you be willing to share these technologies with other species? We're already sharing them, Carter replied. The medical data Dr. Brooks transmitted yesterday has already been sent to hospitals on 12 different worlds. The energy technology specifications are available to any species that wants them. We believe that helping others makes everyone stronger. This was different from how the older alien empires operated. The Zephyrians and Crystallines hoarded their knowledge, using technological superiority to maintain control over weaker species. More voices began speaking up throughout the chamber. The Botanical Collective wanted to learn about human agricultural techniques. The Aquarian Federation was interested in ocean management systems. The silicon-based builders were excited about human construction methods, but it was a representative from the Council's administrative staff who asked the most important question. President Carter, what are humanity's terms for joining the Galactic Council? Carter had been preparing for this moment for months. Our terms are simple. Full membership with voting rights equal to any other species. Immediate cessation of all attacks on human interests. Recognition of human territorial claims to all systems we currently occupy. And the establishment of mutual defense agreements with any species that wants them. Anything else? The administrator asked. Yes. We want the Council to establish new rules about how conflicts are resolved. No more might makes right politics. No more powerful species bullying weaker ones. If we're going to be part of a galactic community, it needs to be a community based on law and justice, not fear and violence. War Prime Vextar stood up, his expression grim. And if some species refuse to accept these new rules? Carter's smile was cold and sharp. Then they'll have to deal with the consequences of their choice. But I think most species will find that cooperation is more profitable than conflict. The voting process took hours. Each species had to decide not just whether to accept humanity into the Council, but whether to support the new approach to galactic governance that came with them. In the end, the result was overwhelming. 43 species voted to grant humans full Council membership. Only the Zephyrian Empire and 2 of their client species voted against, and even they agreed to honor the other terms. Ambassador Claire Martinez was appointed as humanity's first Galactic Ambassador with offices on both the Council Station and Earth. Captain Santos and the Retribution remained on station as a permanent reminder that human diplomacy now had teeth. Dr. Alex Rivera announced that humanity would be establishing joint research facilities with any species that wanted them. The first projects would focus on medical technology, clean energy, and faster-than-light communication systems. But perhaps the most important change was in the attitude of the aliens themselves. The younger species, no longer afraid of the older, empires began speaking up about their own ideas and needs. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and not just because of human weapons. 3 months later, President Carter stood on the observation deck of the new human embassy, watching. Ships from dozens of worlds dock at the expanded Council Station. Trade, research, and cultural exchange were booming as species that had been enemies for centuries were learning to work together. Admiral Foster joined her at the window. Any regrets about how things turned out? Carter shook her head. We tried. Diplomacy first, we offered friendship and cooperation. They chose to see that as weakness instead of strength. And now? Now they understand that humans prefer to talk, but we're very good at fighting when we have to be. Sometimes that's the only way to earn respect. Through the window, they could see the Retribution on patrol, her massive form moving slowly through the space lanes. Other human ships were visible in the distance, maintaining the peace that had been won through strength. The galaxy is different now, Foster observed. Better, I think, Carter replied. The strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. Knowledge is shared instead of hoarded. Conflicts are resolved through law instead of violence.